my husband at the time was shaping surfboards. He had a surfboard manufacturing company. And if somebody goes out and surfs on one of these surfboards and the surfboard breaks and they injure themselves, right? And they can prove that there was some faulty manufacturing happening, right? They're going to, of course, come after the company as a separate entity from us personally, right? They call that the corporate veil, is that right?
The corporate veil, and that extends to other entity types as well for the LLC.
Exactly. And so in that case, they can sue the company, but not come after us personally.
Yes.
Except, right? So talk about in cases where, you know, a lawyer could dig in. What I've heard is if you are commingling funds, if you're not careful about, oh, the personal's paying for this and the business is paying for this, and you're not really keeping that veil there, so to speak, between the entities, I have heard, correct me if I'm wrong, that people can kind of, they call it piercing the corporate veil, right? To try to argue that you're personally, in this case, Brian would have been personally responsible for this person injuring themselves.
Yes. So generally, once you form an entity like a corporation or an LLC, any of them that have liability protection, now, unless you're like a general partner, which is a separate situation, you are protected from your personal assets. The first step is making sure that your entity is properly formed and is properly documented. So that's where, like, if you're an S corporation, you have like meeting minutes and corporate notes and things like that you have to maintain, so that if you were ever sued, you can actually show that you have been operating as a corporation. And but yes, and then if somebody was to sue you, then they would be able to get assets that are held and owned by that company, but not come after you personally. There's always exceptions if you're completely negligible or in certain types of professions, like for me, like as a CPA, I'm a licensed professional. So if I was to do something, you know, fraudulent or completely egregious, then I could still have some personal liability, which is where insurance comes into play and things like that. But in general, you know, somebody comes into your business and they slip and fall, they're not going to be able to come after your house or your personal cash and things like that. As long as you are treating it as a separate entity, you're keeping everything documented, and you're not treating it like your personal bank account. So it is very important to, one of the first things, even in the beginning stages, because to keep it separately, for one, it makes your life a whole lot easier when you go to file your taxes.
Totally.
Because you're always going to have situations where you're like, oh, I didn't deduct that because I paid for it here and I forgot about it and things like that. But starting off early that way, so that as you do grow, it's not some big project. It's very easy to do it from the beginning. Right. Get a separate business account, get a separent business credit card. If you can't get a credit card in your business name, just get a separate one in your personal name and dedicate that to business.
Such great advice. Then like 100%, that's only used for business, right?
Yeah, and if a mistake happens here or there, it's not the end of the world, but just make it a policy that I don't do this. You know?
And that happens to me once in a while. For example, with Hera Hub, I'll run into the grocery store to get some, you know, fruit for the spa water here and forget, you know, just run in with my personal credit card. And so then I take a picture of the receipt, I send it to my bookkeeper, I let her know I paid for this, I transfer the money, you know, back and forth, just like very clear delineation and taking care of it right away, as you said, because a month later, you know, you're not going to remember all these things.
Yeah, so you can have a policy for reimbursing yourself when those things happen, or your card is declined, or you forgot it, or whatever. So it's not like you can't do it at all, but you just don't want to make it a habit. So you would treat it the same way as you wouldn't just give, you know, every employee a business card to just willy-nilly charge it. They would have to have a policy to say, okay, yeah, I use my personal card because that's what I had available, and now I need a reimbursement. So you treat it kind of the same way.